Hey everybody, welcome back to Peachy Disc Golf. Today I am braving the swamp that is Chattahoochee Pointe Park in order to do a little 6-hole challenge, testing out the new Discraft Captain's Raptor in this beautiful Jawbreaker Z FLX plastic. And we're going to compare it against a couple of other overstable fairway drivers that I have as well. So let's jump right into it. So I mentioned in the past couple of videos that I recorded back at home that we've had a ton of rain and cold weather here in the Atlanta area, and this is sort of the results of that. It has rained a lot over the past couple of days, but the cold weather suddenly left us just a couple of days ago. We were dripping our pipes to make sure we didn't have anything burst because the temperatures were below freezing, and now it's like 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So perfect weather for testing out my new jersey in. If you want to check out this Peachy Disc Golf jersey, you can do so at Beast Disc Golf. I'll have a link down in the description below. And don't forget, you can use code DANIEL, DANIAL, if you want to get 10% off your order. But here we are at Chattahoochee Pointe Park. The course is known for being a swamp, so I'm going to try my best to stay as dry as possible. In the past, I have had several a slip here, and I've gotten quite muddy, so hopefully we don't do that today. But we're going to be testing out this Captain's Raptor, a 9314 super overstable fairway driver out here at a couple of holes. So I brought a couple of other overstable fairways with me as well, and we're going to compare the Captain's Raptor against them. I have my FX2 here, which is the overstable 9-speed that I'm currently bagging. We also have the Millennium Discs Draco here. This is the disc I bagged before that FX2. This is very similar to an Innova Firebird. I think it's supposed to just be like an older Firebird mold. I really enjoyed using that. And then I brought a Dynamic Discs Ricky Wysocki Felon as well. This one I believe is in Fusion Orbit, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure on what the different plastics are for Dynamic Discs. And then also, I brought an ESP Captain's Raptor. I got this at the beginning of last year. Threw it just a few times. I found it to be super overstable. It did not go very far, especially for my lower arm speed, but I do feel that my arm speed has improved quite a bit, so I'm really interested. How is this Z FLX Captain's Raptor going to compare? Initial impressions, I love this Z FLX plastic. It's very gummy, and it feels really comfortable in the hand. It's very flat on the top. It feels pretty comfortable. When I first got this ESP Captain's Raptor, I don't know what it is, but it just does not sit as well in my hands. It feels almost a little deeper, and I think it's really just the plastic is a little more rigid, and it's just not quite as comfortable. I really do like the way that this Z FLX Captain's Raptor feels a good deal better than that ESP one. So we're gonna go play 6 holes here. Let's go see how these discs compare. Man, this is such a bad idea. I slipped already while recording for a different video on hole 1. On the walk here to hole 2, I got snagged up in a ton of thorns. So I'm itchy. My new jersey already getting some snags in it. Really annoying. We're gonna primarily play short tees because I don't wanna slip and die out here. But we're gonna kick things off here at hole 2, 380 feet par 4. Pretty doable, I think, even with a super overstable, not very glidey Captain's Raptor. I just want to test the stability here. We're going to throw it to the right of this little pine tree in front of us and see how far it fades back to the left. Then we'll also do a comparison with the ESP Captain's Raptor just to sort of get a back-to-back how those two compare. I put that on a ton of hyzer. It went nowhere. That's so short. ESP Captain's Raptor as well. Oh, terrible throws. We will throw one more. The disc that I'm currently bagging for my overstable 9-speed is this FX2. Yeah, that carries just a little bit straighter for me. I don't know, I think the FX2 is definitely very beefy. It's very overstable, but it just has a little bit more forward penetration. Now that makes sense to me because the Captain's Raptor is listed as having a turn of +1. We landed right here. FX2 a little bit further, maybe 10 feet further. I thought this was definitely a good deal further, but hole 10 is an interesting one. First, there's like a frog haven over here in the swampy rain. So many frogs out right now. But second is the distance. From the long tee here, we're looking at 340 feet par 3. You can see the basket is straight ahead. wide open shot here. From the short tee, it's only 200 feet. So it's like, there's not really a tee position that would be ideal for the cap wrap. It's either too long or too short. Obviously, I'm probably only throwing these just a little bit over 200 feet, so I could probably just park it from the short tee, but I really wanted to push myself and throw these as hard as I can. So we're gonna just go from the long tee here. We're gonna throw the Jawbreaker Z FLX first, and then direct comparison again to the ESP Captain's Raptor, and see if there's any difference again. Try to see a difference, try to get more comparable throws this time. And this time we're gonna throw the Draco in the mix instead of the FX2 to see how they compare. So first up, Jawbreaker Z. Since we have such a wide open shot, I'm gonna put all of these on a little bit of anhyzer. We'll see how quickly they fight out of them as well. Yeah, these Captain's Raptors are so beefy. That fought out almost immediately, and then it just has a dive bomb finish. It doesn't like hyzer and push forward, it just dives into the ground. It reminds me of the Zone OS, honestly. This is just like the driver version of it. Next up, ESP Captain's Raptor. Very similar. I think they're almost on top of each other. All right, and last up we have the Draco. I will say right off the bat, the Draco is more comfortable than both of those discs. So let's see. I actually think this might be a little bit less overstable. We might get a little bit further flight with it. Not by much. It's definitely still beefy, but we'll see. Nope, very similar. They're all so similar. Here you can see all three of those discs. The ESP Captain's Raptor is actually the one that went the furthest. The Z FLX is the one that went the shortest. Z FLX was the worst of the group actually, right here. But all within like 10 feet of each other. So very similar. And I guess that makes sense. Thinking about it, the Draco is listed as having like a 3 glide, just like the Captain's Raptor. So that checks out. Hole 11 from the long tee is 295 feet, par 3. The basket is off to the right here, a little bit downhill. We have a tailwind as well. So we're gonna go with both of the Captain's Raptors again, and this time we're gonna throw the Fusion Orbit Felon. Basically just gonna hang it out to the right, try to get it towards the basket. Gonna probably come up well short again, but we'll see how it goes. So starting with the Z FLX. I threw that way too far to the right. I don't even know if you could see that disc. It's so gray in the background. Just made a huge splashdown as well. Okay, ESP, not that wide this time. Oh, I did the same thing. It's coming back into the fairway. All right, Felon. Okay. Oh, tombstone in the mound. So you can see the Felon is tombstoned in this mound of dirt right here. The ESP Captain's Raptor actually went just about the same distance. It's just a little off to the right. And my Z FLX way over here in some water. So these are all probably pars. I'm not gonna finish the hole out. I don't really think it matters about the score here. We just wanna see the flights off the tee, so we're gonna move on to 12. Oh God, it's not even mud. It's a giant ant pile. My disc is crawling with red ants. All right, so if you're familiar with the channel, you know that hole 12 here is probably the hole that I've been looking forward to most with throwing these overstable fairway drivers. We're looking at 385 feet, par 4. Basket is straight ahead past this little line of trees here. My normal route that I like to go is down the right side, the wider gap here, with something overstable and try to fade into the open field that got a little bit more crowded now. There's a fallen tree back there. But basically, we're gonna take each one of the discs, we're gonna try all of them out here on this hole, and we're gonna see how far forward can we go and how far to the left can we penetrate. First up, Captain's Raptor in the Jawbreaker Z FLX. Let's get it. Yeah, look at that, it just dive bombs down. That made it right through the center of the gap, but it just wants to go straight to the ground. Does the same thing happen with the ESP Captain's Raptor as well? Similar throw and a similar result, just under that little fallen tree, I think. So both of the Captain's Raptors, for my arm speed between the two plastics, it seems like they're very similar. They're gonna go similar distances, similar shot shapes. One is not like noticeably more overstable than the other. I will say though, that Z FLX plastic does still feel more comfortable in my hand. But I think all of these other three that I used to bag, I would say all of these are more comfortable for me personally. I think for most of the other ones, like my finger right here is like just a little more comfortable. The Captain's Raptors are digging into my fingers a little more than these. So we're gonna start with the FX2, then we'll go with the Draco and then the Felon. And let's see, do they go a little further? Do they swing a little further left? Really interested to see how this goes. Oh, that looks great. Yeah, that has oh yeah, past the tree also. That disc is very overstable still, but it definitely seems like it has more of a right to left fade rather than wanting to dive straight into the ground. So pretty solid. Next up, we've got the Draco. Oh, that just has a little bit more glide. That went forward a little bit more, and I kept it a little bit on anhyzer, and that might be why, but that did not want to get down to the ground quite as fast as those Captain's Raptors. All right, and last up, we got the Felon. Ooh, just barely. Okay, that's right next to the Draco. Very similar distance to the Draco. I hung it out further to the right, so if I would have put that down the middle, that would have been a little bit closer to that FX2, I believe. So I think the Draco, the FX2, and the Felon all go just a hair further for me than the Captain's Raptors. Both of the Discraft ones just want to go straight into the ground, which can be very useful, especially if you have a higher arm speed than me. If you find that like the Felon and the Draco are too straight, which is something that I can't imagine anytime soon, but you might like that Captain's Raptor then. All right, so here's the basket. Both of the Captain's Raptors are right on top of each other. That's so funny. The Draco and the Felon, again, next to each other, like I mentioned, not too far apart, maybe 5 feet. Their overstability does seem a little bit similar, although with both of these, they did pull a little bit more to the right. So if I would have kept them more centered, they would have been in this clearing a little bit more. But the best of the group is the FX2 right here. So it went about the same distance as the Felon and the Draco, which is what I thought was happening. But it has that more right to left motion hyzer finish rather than a dive bomb into the ground. Hole 13, 250 feet, par 3. Basket is off to the left here, wide open shot. Pretty good shot actually for Captain's Raptors here. We do have a bit of a tailwind, so we're gonna throw it off to the right, let it fade into the basket. And I know now with these Captain's Raptors not to throw them too wide. We'll start with the Z FLX, then we'll do the ESP. Oh, that's too far to the right. Oh, the wind is helping, but you can see, oh, that's so lucky. That was so lucky. I did not want to do that. That's where I didn't want to throw. But with this one, I want to go almost, not direct, but definitely further left than that one. There we go. That looks good. That'll be parked. Yep, maybe 5-10 feet away. Easy birdie if I throw it the right way. All right, last hole for this little challenge here, hole 15. In that weird position off to the right here, there's just puddles of water all around the basket. So we're gonna probably clean off some of my discs in those in just a little bit. But this is actually a hole where I would very strongly consider using one of these. I hate this pin position because if I go with something like that I would normally want to go, like something nice and straight, like a mid-range or even like a Crave or something straight, I have a chance of turning it over into the road, which I don't want to do. So honestly, I would probably pick up one of these super overstable discs and hang it off to the right on a backhand and know that it's not gonna hang over the road too long. So we're gonna throw all of them once again, starting off with the Z FLX. Oh, inside. Oh God, that's in the swamp on the left. Gross, I am exhausted. These are gonna be bad, aren't they? Let's try the ESP. There we go, that's in the water. Splash. Ooh, it skipped out. FX2. Hung that way out to the right. That's in the middle of the pond. Yep, that's gonna be a pain to get back. Draco next. That's the best throw so far. Yeah, that's right. Right by the basket, Draco. And last up with the Felon. Very similar shot. All right, just to have a fair comparison, I went back and grabbed the Z FLX Captain's Raptor. Let's try to get this at least on a similar line to the other one so we can have a more fair comparison. There we go. Right next to the ESP one. Perfect. Both of the Captain's Raptors, maybe 20-25 feet away from the basket. Here's the FX2 in the middle of the pond. So that's gonna be getting my feet wet for sure. But you can see the FX2, the Draco, and the Felon are all like 10 feet further than the Captain's Raptors. The Felon and the Draco here, easy tap-ins for birdies. But that's the last hole, so let me give you my final thoughts on these overstable fairways. Okay, well, I am back home after testing out the new Jawbreaker Z FLX Captain's Raptor. So real quick, I thought I would give you my final thoughts. And honestly, my opinions on this disc haven't really changed from when I first tried out this ESP Captain's Raptor about a year ago when this one came out. Both of these discs fly very similarly, and they're just a little bit too overstable for my slower arm speed. So I feel like if you have a slow arm speed, you really don't need to get a Captain's Raptor. If you want to stick with like a Discraft disc, maybe just stick with the regular Raptor. I know Kang and Daniel, I don't know if Daniel does anymore, but they both have Raptors in their bags, and they really like using those as their overstable fairways. I think this Captain's Raptor is just a little bit too much. It looks great. I love this Jawbreaker Z plastic that they've been putting out. I really hope that they keep pumping this plastic out in other molds because I think it looks great. And I really, the Z FLX as well, I think is very comfortable. I do prefer that over this ESP Captain's Raptor. But for me, I'm either going to be sticking with my FX2 or during that last video got me reconsidering the Draco again as well, because I think it might even be a little bit more comfortable in the hand even. They have very similar flights for me, but the Draco might be just a hair shallower and a little bit more comfortable, but it feels like they both fly very similar and they are still very dependable. I just tend to get a little bit straighter flight with those and a little bit more right to left motion, whereas with these Captain's Raptors, they just want to dive bomb into the ground. But if you're looking for something that does that, that's a similar comment I had when I compared the Zone OS to the Zone, is if you want something to just sort of fall out of the sky, it's not going to roll or skip too much, it's just going to sort of settle where it lands, that might be a good reason to look into one of these Captain's Raptors. But overall, this is just not a disc for me right now at my current skill level. Maybe as I increase arm speed this year, I'll look into maybe throwing these again, but for right now, this is just not a disc for me. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and ring that notification bell so you can be notified when our next episode comes out. Until next time, guys, cheers.